This meditation is basically I'm taking up so that you get used to a little bit knowledge from the Upanishads or the Bhagavad Gita. At this time of our study itself, we are still in the preparatory stage of trying to understand who we are. We have done Tattva Bodha and Atma Bodha. For those who want to go a little bit deeper on the text part, you can study the Vivek Chudamani. I have taken 5 classes. I have finished 5 classes of Vivek Chudamani last week. So those of you who are interested, they can get the 5 classes from me by email or the audio sessions. You can just go to YouTube and you can check the website. You can do the Vivek Chudamani, which consists of 545 verses. That's the theory part. Now, we are still in the preliminary stage. Then after Vivek Chudamani is the Drigdrishya Viveka, a deeper text after Vivek Chudamani. That's what we are doing. After we finish all this initial study of the preparations, we will be going and studying the Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads. When we study the Upanishads or the Bhagavad Gita, if you have the background of these preparatory texts, it will be very useful because this is how Vedanta is taught in a professional way in all the colleges, all the teaching institutions in India. Meditation is another portion which is also a very important portion in the study of the spiritual science, because it takes us closer to the Atma. In the sense, it reveals the mind to me, which is separate than the Atma, and it helps me to understand who I am. Because it's only with reference to the mind at a deeper level we can understand our own nature as the consciousness principle which is aware of the mind. Today's meditation session is based on Taittiriya Upanishad, a very, very important Upanishad, which takes the 5 koshas in a very, very big detail. So people who want to study the 5 koshas, Pancha Koshas, they should study the Taittiriya Upanishad. People who want to study the 3 states of consciousness, they should study the Mandukya Upanishad. Because both of them are the paths to lead, which leads to Atma. One through the levels of 3 states, another with level of 5 koshas. The 5 koshas, internally, they cover the 3 bodies also. Because it's a 3 bodies in a functional form become the 5 koshas. So these 2 Upanishads, Mandukya and Taittiriya Upanishad, are the basic which are required to understand the depth of Atma. And the most important verse in Taittiriya Upanishad is this first verse from the 2nd chapter. The first chapter of Taittiriya Upanishad is only a basic preparation. So this verse says, Om Brahma Vida Apnoti Param Tadesham Yuktam Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma Yoveda Nihitam Gohayam Parame Vyoman Soshnute Sarvan Kaman Saha Brahmana Vipaschiteti. Very, very beautiful verse. This gives the entire verse. This is a verse for the whole Upanishad. This is the key verse. Why is it a key verse? Because it gives the definition of consciousness, or otherwise called as Brahman, which is our nature and which is the nature of the entire universe or Paramatma. And the 3 technical words used here are Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. Satyam means what? It is ever there. Always it is existent. Pure existence without name and form is called as Satyam. Suppose you remove the table and form, a table, name and form. What exists is existence. Remove the chair, name and form. I remove it. What is there is existence. The whole universe, I remove the name and form because all the objects are nothing but name and form. You give a name to an object and then there's a form. It can be sound, it can be touch, it can be smell. All these are only different forms of the word. And then to each form, I give a name. That's why in Chandogya Upanishad, it says very clearly the whole world is nothing but name and form. But what is behind the name and form always is there is existence, which is called as Satya. It is there in the past, present, and future. So our consciousness, which we talk about, is Satya. The second nature is consciousness, jnanam. All the time we are conscious. We are conscious. In sleep, we are conscious. In a dream, we are conscious. In waking state, we are conscious. So the consciousness never leaves us. It is our nature. Like I told you, the nature of the fire is the heat and the light. The nature of all human beings is consciousness, the knowledge principle, I am. That's all. Everything else after I am Shama, I am Uma, I am all is only name and form. Particular form, particular name. Particular form, particular name. And the third portion of this definition is, it is Anantam. Just now I described to you, Anantam means infinite. Infinite means it is not limited by space or time. So this is what I was explaining to you, that no sajatiya bheda, vijatiya bheda, swagata bheda. No limitation of time, space, and objects. These limitations means bheda. Bheda means difference. Because of I see a difference between me and the world, this is a misconception in the mind. It is not the truth. The truth is I am only consciousness. How do I realize this higher nature of mind, which is Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam? By knowing the nature, by studying what this consciousness is. And how do I study? I study it in the Upanishads, in the Gita. And what does this teach me? It teaches me that it is first of all, where is it? It is located in the Antakaranam. Consciousness is located in the mind cave. And what is the function of that consciousness? It reveals the thoughts to me. Presence and absence. Absence of mind, absence of thoughts in the deep sleep state. Presence of mind in the dream state and the waking state. And that is why it is called as the witness. Witness means sakshi. It is only a witness, it doesn't participate, it only illumines. Like the sun only illumines. And how do I recognize it? We can only recognize it as Aham Brahma Asmi. I am that consciousness. That is why I keep saying that we must remember in the seat of meditation, we must be able to say, I am that Brahman, I am that consciousness. That vritti is important. Because that vritti is not going to illumine any other object, but it illumines the subject. And once I get this knowledge of Atma, what happens? Parapraptihi. Paraprapti means all the pleasures which are there, which the mind usually seeks in the world, they are all fulfilled in one go. Why are they all fulfilled? Because they are only thoughts. Ultimately, the seed, the root of all this is what? It is this consciousness. And then I can negate all the sorrow because sorrow belongs to the mind. Mind is a matter principle. Therefore, I am conscious of the mind. Therefore, the impact of the mind on me becomes less and less. The relationship between Brahman and the universe is, what is the relationship? It's like a cause and effect, like the gold and the ornament. All the ornaments are made of gold. Similarly, the whole universe is coming out from consciousness and resolving into consciousness. Therefore, there is a cause-effect relationship. In the rest of the Upanishad, this entire Satyam Jnanam Anantam is elaborate. In the next verse, which we will do next week, we will see there is a continuation of this Atma, this Satyam Jnanam Anantam. How from this Atma or Satyam Jnanam Anantam, how the whole world comes. That we will study the second verse of the same Upanishad, we will study next week. Let us try to meditate now. Please close your eyes. I am aware of my breath. The eyes are seer number one. They see the objects of the world. The mind is seer number two. It perceives the sense organs. I am aware of my thoughts. I am the invisible consciousness. The awareness principle is the ultimate seer. Ultimate hearer. Ultimate thinker. The mind has two portions. Ahamkara is the ego I. The ego I doesn't change in this body. From birth to death. It is the ahamkara. The ego I gets connected to the memory. To the emotions of the mind. To the thoughts and plans of the intellect. The ego I doesn't change, but the memories change. Emotions change. Thoughts in the intellect changes. The ego I identifies with the physical body. And has the waking state. The ego I identifies with the mind in the dream state. Becomes the dreamer. The ego I identifies with the ignorance, karana shariram, in the sleep state. Becomes the sleeper. I am the consciousness, eternal, satyam, pure existence. Unconnected with the ego I. Asangaha. Jnanam. I am the nature of knowledge. Pure awareness. I can exist without the body and mind and the universe. Anantaha. I am beyond time. I am the eternal principle. Purnaha. I don't lack anything. As consciousness. This is my real nature. Om Asatoma Satkamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I become aware of the breathing again. The sounds I'm able to hear. Gently, I open my eyes. So that was the session for us today on very important mantra of Taittiriya Upanishad. And if you have any questions, you can ask me, or I'll first look at the chat if there is anything in the chat. I don't think there's anything in the chat today. If you have any questions, you can ask me.
Shikaji,
Bhai?
this one, I came across something from Vedas. They say that the teachers and the students who have not reached realization
Yeah.
They are partly affected by Maya, or they are covered by Maya.
Yeah, that's correct. You're right. Yes, they are covered by Maya because the ignorance is still there. They have not probably completed the study of Upanishads or the Gita. The spiritual science is a study. It is a gradual process by which the intellect will come to know who I am. So it is still covered. That means their study is not complete.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
Shekaji, Shekaji,
Yeah.
wonderful session. Thank you. I wanted to ask that, so because the seer itself, the true seer, the Atman, is completely free and, as it is in an enlightened consciousness, supreme consciousness. So the relative seers or the secondary seers, as the body, mind, and Sukshma Shri, how does this desire to know the Atman? So this secondary seer obviously is the one who's seeking to know.
Correct. Yes.
So how does that happen? Why? Is it only because we suffer? If the suffering was not there, maybe these relative seers would never ask?
Yes, you're right. Yeah, you're right. If the suffering was not there in the world, if the human being doesn't suffer, he will never come to Atma.
Okay, thank you. The second question is, so the consciousness in everything, the whole of the universe, is the same. There is not different from a stone to the tree to the animals, beings, or anybody. The consciousness is exactly the same in every object that exists. Yeah.
When you say the world, you should always use the word existence.
Existence, yes. So in the entire existence of the universe,
yeah,
there is no difference in different objects of the consciousness itself. Is the same consciousness.
Yes.
So what differs is the expression.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's correct.
And as and it's probably only the remit of the human being that there is a possibility of experiencing but gaining the consciousness or uncovering
getting the knowledge of consciousness.
Knowledge of consciousness. So it's only given only within the humans.
That's correct.
And yeah, now within the humans as well. So at the time of birth and as a child, the consciousness was there on day one, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, and even during our everyday life, from the different states of the avastha, the three states, the Jagrata, Swapna, and the Sushupti status, our expression of consciousness is again different, where the expression of consciousness is different in all the three different states.
Consciousness remains same in all three states.
No, the consciousness remains same, but in terms of there are certain times when during our meditation or something, and the mind is in a purified state, we are able to get a glimpse of.
Yes, you're right. You see, when the mind is quiet, when the agitations in the mind are reduced, then the reflection of consciousness in the mind becomes better.
Yeah. So in other words, what I'm trying to understand is the reflected consciousness, or the medium in the mind, is changing for us right from childhood to the state of the enlightened state. Yeah,
that's correct. It becomes more and more sattvic.
More and more sattvic, and at a particular point of time during the realized state, that particular medium will be finally completely clear, and it's reflecting consciousness all of the time.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah? Okay.
Yes.
No, I get the picture. Thank you.
Yes. The final hurdle to cross over is the ignorance part. I am not the mind. It has to get totally dropped and just say, I am that consciousness. Once that happens, there is no more that ignorance. The wheeling nature of Maya is over.
And according to Vedanta, the whole of the vritti or the mind is only thoughts, regardless of whether it is, all the various cognition function of the thinking, feeling, perceiving.
That's
all
correct.
Of that is thoughts. It's basically
only thoughts, nothing else. It's only the mind which has woken up in the morning and is undergoing a lot of thoughts in the whole day. Emotions and their plans and all that, ultimately they all are of a lower order of reality. The higher order of reality is the consciousness.
And sorry, this is just the last bit, because otherwise I'll lose my. So at any given point of time, for example, listening to your talk, the fact that, so I'm consciously paying all my attention to listen to what you're saying, but a thought, so it's almost as if it is working in different layers. So a part of my mind could be doing something else. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. That's fine.
Suppose you're walking or you're taking a walk on the street, and then you will definitely find that the body is walking, but my mind is thinking.
Okay.
So that's the memory and intellect, and the I consciousness which appears in the mind.
Yes, this I consciousness is always the ego I, which is there from birth to death. That is why we all say that I am there, I am there, I am there, because it's a reflection of that consciousness.
That the mind, the mirror, which reflects, gives rise to the ego I, and then there is the secondary part, which is the intellect and the thoughts and the memory.
Perfect.
Yeah.
However, the Drigdrishya sort of tends to talk about the multiple seers only as a process of explanation, as I understand, because when they say that for every object there is a subject, has to be a subject, therefore the seer is the I, because it sees the object. But we do realize that the eyes by themselves can't see, they need something else to cognize. So that's how we go back through the process of finally it's the mind, and we realize the mind which cognizes the hearing, the seeing, the smell, and all of that. Am I correct? That's what it says.
Absolutely. Deepak, you're right.
All the senses. Yeah. And it goes back to the only true seer. So essentially, the Drigdrishya is trying to sort of really delineate the subject-object in a very, very sort of clear, scientific in a manner as to how from the, and therefore what we are saying is that in effect is that the mind itself along with the body and the Nam and Rupa and all its are also objects.
Correct.
Finally, that's all. They're all objects.
Yes. For every object, ultimately there has to be the seer, which is the subject.
Which is the subject. So the mind, body, and this world is objects. So finally, there is this one pure subject, the Sakshi, or what you would call it, the seer, and you can give whatever name you like to give.
Yeah, so I think whatever you can call it. Yes, it's just
so
words.
That was really the essence of the very clear definition of subject-object.
Yes, that's right.
Mr.
Yeah, Jacqueline.
I have question from another aspect.
Yes.
We are consciousness. We are always there, and the mind and the body. So, being human, we have this. Can we say that the consciousness is the one that designs who I am, how I am, where I am, what I am?
The consciousness doesn't decide. Ultimately, yes, your answer is right, that consciousness, but ultimately who I am is the consciousness. What I am is again consciousness, but only when the body comes, we become aware of the body, and then everything else we take it with reference to the body. For example, I'm in Singapore. In sleep, I'm only pure consciousness, but the moment the body becomes aware to me, then what happens is this in front of this body, I become conscious, and through the body, I get the location. Through the body, I get the mind, and then I become a located individual.
Oh, okay. I am coming from the, it's just like, I'm not identified myself as a body.
Yes.
I'm saying that, you know, why I'm here today, okay?
Yes.
It's being just like a computer. People design computer, it can be a handphone or whatever. It's a way that consciousness has designed me to be in the way that I am today. Who I am what I am. That's what I'm saying. Even when I was born, it has been designed that I'm
better. हाँ वो तो बेचारा बीमार था यार.
And today,
किडनी का प्रॉब्लम थी सिंगापुर में था बहुत दिनों से.
Yeah, Jacqueline.
Oh, I'm saying that it's just like a total a way of consciousness. In fact, it designed DESIGN design each and every one of us in a totality. With the body, even the body, the consciousness designed me to be in this body that I have today.
Yes, you're right. That body comes and goes because of the karma of the body. That's all.
So the karma is not the current karma, it's the past karma that is.
It's a past karma which has given birth to this body.
Okay, so the karma itself, when I want to ask, the karma is the karma that I'm happening with right now, or the karma that has been, because karma is action. And so is the action that I'm doing right now, or the action that has been put inside me. In fact, you know, I think there are things that people plan, but it didn't happen. But it didn't plan, it happened.
Okay. See, we should be very clear. There are two things. One is called as a Karana Shariram, which is a causal body. The causal body is a function where they prarabdha karma because of the some karmas which we need to fructify. That means the result of the past actions. Yeah. Because the result of past actions, it has given the birth to this body. It has come. The mind has come into this body. Yeah. Now, the planning, whether I have, once you have taken the body, for example, now tomorrow morning you get up and you plan to do certain things and you achieve certain things because of the planning.
Yeah.
Now, those are all incidental. You see, the body has been given birth to enjoy certain fruits of actions. The planning which you have done is an incidental aspect, which is also contributing to your joy and sorrow.
Yep.
So you're clear, right? See, all joy and sorrow is related only to the body. It has nothing to do with the consciousness.
Yes. What I'm saying, what I want to, clarify is, even though whether there is a happiness or there is a sorrow, or you know, it's not that I want, but somehow the consciousness illuminate those happiness and those sorrow to me at a certain time, and therefore it happened to me. That's what I'm saying. Is that?
Yes, you are right. You are right. The consciousness illumines for that ego I some sorrow, some happiness at that particular point of time, and that's the end of it. The day is gone, finished. Then tomorrow morning, another day comes. So again, the consciousness will illumine again tomorrow's joy and tomorrow's sorrows. So basically, consciousness doesn't change. It is only the mind which changes. And the moment you come to know that I am the consciousness, the body and mind will give some experiences and it will go away. But the experiences belongs to the ego I. It does not belong to the Atma.
Yeah, but sometimes controllable, right? There's no control. I mean, that's you as a person. Is there a way to control?
No, there's no control. From the consciousness angle, once you have reached the consciousness angle, there is no control at all. You just say, I am that Brahman, I am that consciousness. Whatever is happening to the body and mind, I will just take it as just a passing incidental appearance. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, that's okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Surya, you have asked a question. Causal body and soul are one and the same because causal body is a cause of birth. Okay, you should be very clear. What do you mean by soul? Here, the soul, if you take the soul as the causal body, yes. But if the soul realizes that he is one with Paramatma, then your then the whole answer is different. So your definition of the soul is very important, whether the soul has the knowledge or soul is still attached to the causal body. Does causal body exist even after cosmic dissolution? Causal body, yes, it will exist after the dissolution of the universe. And again, it will take, if there is no knowledge, again, it will come after in the next Srishti. The scriptures are very clear. It says that the causal body remains in a dormant form at the Pralaya time. That means during Pralaya, the causal body doesn't get destroyed. The seed form of the universe, the seed form for the individual still remains as a seed form. That is the Maya. That is the Avidya part. Now, till this knowledge comes of Atma, that I am the Atma in which the whole universe is coming and going, once you have this knowledge, then these karmas are all gone. The Karan Shariram gets dissolved and you get liberated. That is how moksha is defined in the scriptures. All our karmas are stored in the subtle body or causal body. The karmas are always stored in the causal body. The subtle body is an expression which comes out to experience the joy and sorrow. The karma phalams are always in the causal body. That is why it is called as the causal body. It is a causal body for the subtle body and the gross body. Then you also have asked a question, is there an individual consciousness and supreme consciousness? Only with reference to the upadhi. Upadhi means with reference to the medium. When you see the body, the individual body, there is an individual consciousness reflected in the individual mind. When you see the world, there is a supreme consciousness which is reflected in the universe. In the universe, we see there is I can only see an inert universe, you may say, but what the scripture says, this universe you see is not inert. It is inert only at the gross form. It also has behind it the subtle body. It also has behind it the causal body. So, Sukshma Prapancha, Sthula Prapancha and Karana Prapancha. That means the totality. Then when it comes to the body level, Sharirams. Sthula Shariram, Sukshma Shariram and Karana Shariram. But beyond all this, there is only one element, only one thing in the universe. Between the individual consciousness and the total consciousness, there is no difference. That is what you are calling it, that's what we call it as supreme consciousness, which is called as Brahman, which is called as the ultimate. Like we just now discussed Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, it belongs, this is the definition of that one supreme consciousness, which is beyond the three sharirams, which is beyond the three prapanchas. Once you are able to understand this structure of the whole universe, and you meditate and say, Aham Brahma Asmi, it means I have crossed this entire ignorance. And now I have learned to attach myself to that supreme consciousness. Aham Brahma Asmi is a very powerful vritti. It's a thought. If you understand what this vritti means, you get liberated. Just because you start chanting, for example, without the knowledge, without this specific knowledge what this Brahman means, there is no use. That is the knowledge of Mahavakyam. In every text, they always end the text and say, this is the Mahavakyam, realize the oneness between you and the totality. Till the oneness is realized between you and the entire world, there is no liberation. Knowing yourself as the individual Atma, there is no liberation. Moksha means that one Atma has to merge with that Paramatma. And this merging is nothing else but knowledge, true knowledge. Then Uma is asking, whenever I put a check to a negative thought, whenever I don't give it to bodily comfort, does it mean I'm trying to transcend the mind and body? Yes, you are trying to transcend the body. Absolutely right. This is a very good question, because this explains how we try to go beyond the body and mind. Very important aspect of how through knowledge we can disidentify with the body, disidentify with the mind. And then, because this is only possible because you attend these classes. A lay person will not know how to do this. But through knowledge, yes, you can definitely go beyond the body and beyond the mind. It is possible, and that is the teaching. The teaching says that, yes, I'm learning. And this is how I said that, the tapas is one form by which, without knowledge, one tries to come out of the body, the problems of the body or the mind through tapas. Many people do tapas. Suppose they get agitated one day, suddenly they will tell the family, tomorrow I'm not going to eat. It's their own decision, because they have realized that they have become angry on something which they shouldn't have become angry. But they don't know why and how and all that, but they just withdraw from eating food. I've seen many examples of this, but these are all different forms of trying to understand who you are. See, an angry person wants to come out of his anger, but he doesn't know how to do it. That is why the study of this Vedanta is extremely important. It's a very beautiful question, Umar. It's very deep in its thinking. Okay.
Thank you, Shekharji.
Yeah.
I just didn't understand the word transcend very well, so I was wondering whether that's the correct thing to do.
Yeah, now you understand, right?
Yes, I do. Thank you so much.
Okay. But is asking, is space bound by Kala? Yes, 100%. Your space is always bound by Kala. That means time and space always exist together. That is why Einstein is so famous. He's established space-time principle, and there's a relationship between space-time and energy. So always, whenever you have time, you will experience space. Is Karana Shariram bound by time? Karana Shariram is not bound by time, but it is beyond time. Like almost similar to Atma, because in Karana Shariram, there is no time there. It is only pure ignorance. It is the seed form for the time principle. There is no time in it, but it is a cause of time. That is why we say Karana Shariram is the cause of the subtle body and the gross body. This is explained very beautifully in the Mandukya Upanishad, where the Gaudapadacharya has written, the author. He says very clearly that the causal body is beyond time. Time principle comes only when the mind comes. Mind is at sleep, there is no time experienced. There is no I itself. That is why we say it is a state of ignorance. It is a state of ignorance, but there is something who is seeing that blankness. See, that is where Vedanta comes and tells us that I am still there. I, as consciousness, am seeing this blankness. I'm seeing this ignorance in the Karana Shariram. Therefore, I am different than the Karana Shariram. The modern science defines it as based on the start of a Big Bang, and before that, they don't know. Yes, you're right. The ultimate thing is in science is they say that there is an uncertainty principle beyond time. Uncertainty means nothing else but ignorance. So the start of science is from ignorance. The start of Vedanta is beyond ignorance, what is there? There is consciousness. This is where the end of science is the beginning of Vedanta. And through this entire beautiful analysis, Vedanta establishes not only the truth of the universe, but it also says, if there is no consciousness, no awareness principle, there is no universe. The Vedanta is extremely bold in its statement. Very clear, very bold statement. It's a fact. Consciousness is the ultimate in this entire universe. Awareness principle. And where is that consciousness? Don't search here and there. It's you, the consciousness, and claim that as the ultimate principle. I am that consciousness principle. This is what Chandogya Upanishad teaches and says that before creation, what was existing is this pure consciousness. What is existing even now without changing itself is this consciousness. What will exist in future is this consciousness. The body and mind will change, but consciousness, which is my real nature, that is what I am, will never change. So yes, yeah.
One more doubt on that, particularly on is Karna Shariram bound by time? But what we also hear is that when the Videka Mukti happens, the Karana Sharina is dissolved, right?
Yes.
So does it mean that it is bound by time then?
Oh, okay.
Because you have an end there. At least for consciousness, we are clear that it doesn't have a beginning or it doesn't have an end. So it is not bound by time. Whereas for Karana Shariram, we know that we don't know what is the beginning, but at least we know clearly that there can be an end.
Yes.
So that is why my question is Karana Shariram bound by time?
It is bound by time only with reference to the body or the jiva. When you are taking the standard as the body, suppose you analyze everything as per the body and the mind, then you can give it, then you can say, yes, it has a beginning and end. But take it from reference to the Atma angle. With reference to Atma angle, ignorance is never there because it is always free of ignorance. So ignorance is something which was existing as far as the jiva was concerned. It never existed in Atma. From the Atma standpoint, there is no ignorance, there is no knowledge. It is with reference to the jiva only, there is a ignorance and knowledge. So your question is a very deep question with reference to the jiva only. Once you jump out of the Karana Shariram, there is no jiva, there is no nothing, there is no ignorance, there is no knowledge. Consciousness alone is.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. If liberation means merging soul into Brahman, then what is the significance of causal body? How incarnation concept will work? One, all souls are merging into Brahman. Or once all souls are merging into Brahman, how causal bodies are distinguished and how incarnation concept will work. Surya, I think I need to discuss this separately with you because I need to go a little bit deeper into this subject matter with reference to your question itself. So I will call you separately to discuss this. Just to give you a simple answer, if liberation means merging soul into Brahman, what is the significance of causal body? See, causal body is ignorance, which is reference only to it is a cause for the subtle body and the gross body. When this ignorance, again, this is all related to that one particular jiva only. Merging of the soul, liberation means that the jiva which was thinking that it is the mind and the body, that jiva understands that I was never away from that Brahman. I was always this one with Brahman. In my delusion, I took in the waking state, when my mind was deluded, I took myself as the body and the mind. But in the waking state itself, I got this knowledge. I am not this mind and the body. There is a consciousness which is beyond this waking state, and that is the real I. The knowledge you get is in the waking state, and you realize that this mind is not me, but ignorance is also not me. In the waking state, you realize that sleep state of mind in which I am not aware who I am, but that is gone, because now I know there is a witness of that state also. That witness of that sleep state is me, the real consciousness, the real Sakshi. So the merging happens in while, when you're talking about the liberation, it happens in the waking state when you realize Aham Brahma Asmi. That's all. There is no other merging of the soul, of the body, of the mind, the Karan Shariram. These are all concepts. Only understand the fact that I am the Jiva. I was thinking that I am the mind. I am not the mind. I am not the body. This is a knowledge. It is only a change, intellectual, cognitive change in me. There is no other merger. I myself was Brahman before also. Before the knowledge also I was Brahman. Now also I am Brahman. Only thing the change has happened is because of this knowledge from the scriptures, I have come to realize that I am the higher principle. Like the waker, for example. The waker himself was the dreamer. On waking up, what happens? He realizes the whole dream state is nothing but me. Similarly, the Jiva realizes the whole waking state is nothing but me. That's all. Me, the Atma. There is one conscious, that is the rising, waking up to the higher nature. Once all souls are merging into Brahman, how causal bodies are distinguished and how incarnation, no, don't worry about incarnation and the other bodies. These are all only the wrong misconceptions we have about all the nature of the world. The moment you understand this is the nature of the world, keep trying to understand the nature of the nature, my own correct nature and the nature of the universe. Through the study of this scriptures, I will get my own misconceptions will go away about the whole universe and about myself. When that goes away, you will realize that the same, like how the waker realizes that he was the dreamer, the waker will realize, I am that Atma. Atma, from the Atma standpoint, this waking itself is a lower order of reality. That is what is called as liberation. This process of liberation is a big topic. It will be understood clearly when you go through the depth of Mahavakya Vichara. The depth is very important in the Mahavakyam. Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, Prajnanam Brahma. These portions of the Vedas, you should be absolutely clear what they mean, at what level they mean. It should be very clear. Then your questions will get automatically answered. With that, I will close today, and if there are any more questions, you can write to me independently, and then I can go through them. Otherwise, next week we'll start with the Dridrishya Viveka, and people who are interested in higher studies of higher text, I'm going to start a new text called as Naishkarmya Siddhi on Wednesday. In case anybody is interested, you can just join Wednesday. Okay, thank you and good night.